Hello everyone, my name is Tanya Stowell and I'll be discussing the topic of overfishing crisis and the film Empty Oceans, Empty Nets. This film was hosted by PBS and produced by Steve Cohen and Bering Scheinberg for Habitat Media. These producers are credible as they have produced many documentaries and have won many awards, including 3 awards for this film. The purpose of this film is to raise an awareness of overfishing and fisheries that are in crisis. It also is educating on responsibility consumer choices that we can make and solutions for resolving this crisis. Overfishing is the taking of fish at a rate faster than the population of fish can reproduce, causing a decline in population. Some fisheries are in such crisis that many species of fish are on the brink of extinction, and fisheries are in danger of collapsing. Overfishing is a fairly new issue compared to how long humans have been around to fish. In the 1800s, humans hunted whales for their blubber to fuel lamps. As technology increased, it gave way to the engine-powered boats. With bigger boats came bigger nets. With the invention of refrigeration, boats were able to preserve fish and allow fishermen to stay at sea longer and produce a larger catch. Also, military sonar was introduced to produce fish finders to allow fishermen to know exactly where to fish, becoming more efficient in their harvest. As the population of larger fish decrease, fishermen are fishing deeper and for fish that are further down the food chain. This is causing a breakdown in the fish cycle. Not only are we overfishing large fish, but now we are taking their food source, which is smaller fish. Larger boats are dragging nets along the bottom of the ocean, destroying habitat. Without habitat, smaller fish cannot take cover and seek protection from predators and live long enough to produce. Within the issue of overfishing is the bycatch. Bycatch is unwanted fish and marine creatures caught during commercial fishing. There is about 20 million metric tons of bycatch a year. That is 20 million metric tons of marine life that is killed in the fishing process and discarded overboard. According to an article within National Geographic sourcing a study published in a 2006 journal, that researchers predict that if we continue fishing at this rate, fisheries will have completely collapsed by the year 2048. The film focused on large fisheries and discussed the level of crisis that they are in. One of them was Georges Banks near the Gulf of Maine. The fish population has dwindled here. The Northeast Fishery Management Council is one of the 8 regional councils that manage the fishery resources within the federal 200-mile limit of the coast of Maine, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. There is a conflict between the people trying to maintain the fisheries and work to keep the fish population up for future generations, and between the fishermen who are just trying to make a living. From 1976 to 1986, there were record catches in Georges Banks, but now that most areas are closed to control the declining rate of the fish population. In some underdeveloped countries, overfishing has a huge effect on a local level. Because big corporations are overfishing the oceans, local villagers are not able to fish and support themselves. Also, some areas where fishing is not regulated, locals are doing great damage to habitats when fishing. Dynamite and cyanide is used to kill fish. This method of fishing is extremely hazardous to the local marine environment as well. Coral are being destroyed. The corals are used for protection for smaller fish, and where fish was abundant are now completely gone. Now, fish farms can be very misleading in that people believe that if they're only eating fish from fish farms, then they're not contributing to the overfishing problem. The problem with fish farms is most of them are raising carnivorous fish. These carnivorous fish will eat fish meal. Fish meal is made from small fish and fish waste, which are also overfished. So eating fish that are farmed is really not helping. We produce around 6 million tons of fish meal each year. Not only is fish meal fed to the fish in these fish farms, but they are also fed to farm animals. Fish farms also produce a ton of pollution. Now, there are certain types of fish farms that do not pollute or use fish meal or destroy natural habitat, and these are farms that produce tilapia, mussels, oysters, and catfish. One thing people are doing towards reversing the effects of overfishing is opening marine sanctuaries. The purpose of these sanctuaries is to provide a place where fish population can recover, and as the population grows, the fish will then migrate into the surrounding fisheries where they can be harvested. Another solution that has been put into place is the Sustainable Fishery Act of 1996. This act governs the management of marine fisheries in the United States. Another solution to overfishing starts with you. You as a consumer have the right to question where your fish come from. Ask questions. If the place where you purchase your fish does not know where it comes from and does not know if it comes from a sustainable fishery, then don't purchase it. Make smart decisions. The Marine Stewardship Council is an organization that sets standards for the sustainable fisheries. When you are shopping for your seafood, look for the logo of the Marine Steward Council on the package to ensure that you are part of the solution and not part of the problem. There is one fishery that has been able to maintain a balance between production and sustainable fish population, and that is in the Gulf of Alaska. This fishery is a closed fishery, meaning that you are only allowed to fish if you own shares of this fishery, and you can only purchase this quota from someone who wants to sell or acquire the quota from someone who has passed if you inherit it. Another successful fishery is the Pacific salmon. This fishery almost completely collapsed in 1950 when fish traps were used. In 1953, this area was declared a disaster area. Fish traps were banned. Now biologists are charged to keep this resource populated. Rivers where salmon spawn are not allowed to be dammed. Now there are record catches in this fishery. On a global level, on one hand, we have about 35 million people who are employed in the fishing and agriculture, nearly all in developed countries. However, overfishing is depleting the fish population and destroying habitats. Where some fisheries have strict regulations and fishermen abide by the rules, where small fish that are not allowed to be harvested only migrate to fisheries that are not regulated very well, and then those small fish are caught and harvested. One thing I would like to discuss today with you is, should fisheries be governed on a global level? Should countries that have local villages that are destroying marine habitat with methods such as cyanide and dynamite be held accountable to police these areas? Should big corporations worldwide be forced to fund agencies focused to rebuild fish populations? Should small and large fish markets be held to standard by the government to only sell fish from a sustainable fishery? These are questions that I would like to discuss with you today. Thank you.